Hello and welcome to Critic Builds. Today we're going to be checking out Satisfactory Update 8. This has just recently come out and I'm really excited about this. Last time I played Satisfactory was when Update 4 came out, which was over 2 years ago, and a lot has changed in the game since then. I love factory type games. And after just wrapping up a Return to Moria, which is a very different style game, this is going to be a nice change of pace for a little while. We are going to do a new playthrough. I do have my old playthrough, but Update 4 to Update 8 was going to be a pretty big jump, and I think it's going to be better if we just start off fresh here, which does mean we're going to be grinding through those early tiers for at least a little while, but I think that I've got a good enough handle on the game, even though it's been a couple of years, that we should be able to get through the early tiers pretty fast. I am going to take kind of not necessarily a tutorial approach, but a new player-friendly approach, because I'm sure there's going to be people like me that are either coming back to the game after a long time or maybe just checking it out for the first time now that there's been some major updates. I think I'm going to go ahead and pick the Northern Forest here. I've always kind of liked this area of the map because it's very dense in resources, although it can be a little challenging to build sometimes. I'm going to skip the tutorial part just because it really slows us down. We're going to jump right in at Tier 1. If you've never played the game before, the tutorial's worth it. It just holds your hands through building your first handful of buildings with a little bit of a voice pushing you along and giving you some tasks to do, where this is going to just jump us right in to the game here with a very basic set of materials. So here we are in the Northern Forest. Now, it's been a minute, but I think I remember how to get to where I like to start out. So we're going to just run over here real quick. And my goal for this series is to really double down on the blueprint mechanics that are available now. We're going to be trying to build a very modular factory. There's a lot of different styles you can do in a game like Satisfactory, between trying to build the most efficient setups or the smallest, most compact factories. I don't tend to focus on those things. I tend to want to build things that are easy to expand and add on to, because Satisfactory is one of those games that the longer you play, the bigger your factories are going to get. Now, as we run out here to where I think we need to go, I'm collecting all of the leaves and bushes and things like that we're running alongside here, because we're going to need a lot of this biomass to create fuel. Yep, I got turned around. We will take falling damage if we drop from too high up in the air. I think this is probably safe. There we go. And we're just going to keep trucking here. I'm going to, at some point, run into stuff that is hostile out here. That's one of the dangers of starting out in this area, is I think there's a lot more hostile creatures out and about than some of the other earlier starting zones. This is one of the more advanced starting locations, which reminds me we might as well equip our little zapper weapon in case we do run into something that we need to fight back against. And I'm seeing this peninsula here. It's bringing back memories again. It's been 2 years since we were in Satisfactory, so my memory is not that good. Oh, we've got a crashed site down here. That's right. This is very close to where I want to be. We're not going to go in there and do that just yet. We need to focus on getting our factory going, but these are great places for resources, as well as these hard drives, which are going to unlock new alternative recipes for us at some point. So we're real close now. I think it's just over this next hill that we're going to find our starting base location. If I'm not mistaken, we've probably got some resources back over in one of these spots. This down here, I'm running up on the hill, but this is kind of like almost a road through this area that we'll end up driving our trucks and stuff down as we get started. It's a good way to get in between different types of resources. Oh, and actually, we went past our base here just a little bit. Let's run back up here. I was so focused on looking at that road as we were running down here that we ended up running right by where the base is at, which should be right up here and to my left. I've just now remembered we have a scanner, which will help us identify where those nodes are, which is right in this little nook. It looks different than I remember. The lighting and bushes and all that good stuff is very much upgraded since the last time we were here. Now, we've got a hostile creature in here, so we're going to test our combat skills here. This thing takes 3 or 4 smacks with the zapper, I think. As you can see, my dodging skills are not that strong, but we should be able to. There we go. Get him knocked down, pick up his remains.
The remains of this creature might shed light on how to increase chances of survival. A new research tree can now be accessed in the MAM.
All right, perfect. So this is our starting location, and the reason I like this location so much is we have 4 of these pure iron nodes spread out around this little basin, which is the most important starting resource, followed by copper, which should be right back here. Yeah, we've got copper nodes right back here. There's one here, and I think another one further up. So what we need to do first is get set up with the hub. And I think what I want to do is we're going to put our hub kind of over here alongside this cliff face, rotate it ever so slightly, and we'll drop it right in there. We can probably move this later on if it turns out that it's not in a great spot. But this is going to be our primary source of upgrades and crafting things and doing all that good stuff for the first a little bit in the game here. As you can see, we got our little dropship coming down and all the good stuff. Now, my goal for today is to complete all 3 of these tier 1 objectives. They're pretty straightforward, and for the most part, we only need a couple of resources to get all of this stuff done. And what I'm going to do is we're going to focus first on getting our resources being mined. So I'm going to get this iron node unlocked here real quick, and we'll put down our first miner. I'm not going to worry too much about building a proper factory for these first few episodes. We're going to be very much just focused on getting down the tech tree so that we can get to doing more advanced things here. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to focus on building the factory until we have resources and stuff to do so, and the technology unlocked to do more advanced things. Now you can see here I dropped down a miner. We're gonna follow that up with a smelter. I can hold down the control key to drop this down right here. I'm gonna give it a little bit of space because we are gonna be able to add additional smelters to that one miner here at some point. And then I'm going to go ahead and drop a constructor down right in front of this smelter because we're going to use that to make resources. And let's just get all of these connected up real quick. Perfect. And actually, before we get going too far, I need to do one other thing, which is drop down a constructor over here to make a biofuel to create power. So I'm going to grab this first biofuel generator off of the back of our hub here, and we're going to put a little bit of this leaves in here just to get it started. And I'm going to run this over to here, and then we're going to have this start creating biomass from the wood that we picked up doing all of that collecting. And what we like about this is as soon as I get our first batch of biomass, you don't need a whole lot of biomass to power things. See how slowly this burns through? A little bit of biomass is going to go a long way for us. So I'm going to run power over to all of these machines that we just built. I'm going to start with a pole here, and then we're going to run another pole right over to the machines here. This is just going to facilitate getting everything moving here. So just bring all these power lines out. Actually, we're going to not connect that to this pole. We're going to leave some capacity to connect another pole to that eventually. There we go. Each of these poles only has 4 connection slots available. We've got the iron ore coming out already. I'm going to go ahead and put iron ingots in for the recipe here, and we'll start making iron plates at this location. So with that cranking, let me go ahead and open up another one of these iron nodes real quick. We will go for the one in the back. We'll start from the back and work our way forward here so that we don't clutter things up. And you can see over here on the right-hand side of my screen that I set up a lot of things in our to-do list because I know we're going to need the constructors and miner and smelter for a second iron node. We're building iron plates. We also need to build iron rods. And then I have a third one there because we're going to need to go do some copper wire here on the copper node. So this is just going to keep track of things. And as I build each thing, you can see it's automatically removing that from our to-do list, which is great. So I'm going to give this one some space as well, like I did on the other side, because we are going to eventually unlock splitters and be able to run multiple lines here. And we're going to get another constructor set up. I can be a little bit closer with this. Something like that. And once again, let's get the power going. Now for this, I'm going to put this pole right in the middle, so I should be able to hook all 3 machines up to a single pole and have one contact left to run it over to our existing energy grid. And we're going to run that into creating iron ingots, and here we're going to have iron rods. So with that set up, we've forgotten one thing. Let me get these bushes out of the way. We have forgotten to hook up our other biofuel generator over here on the hub, which is necessary because we don't have the power to keep all of this running right now. So I'm going to get both of these running. I'm going to get this 200 biomass that we've now collected, and I'm going to put that into the second generator, and we'll get these going again. And we're just going to kind of keep doing this where we come back and grab some biomass every once in a while and check on these generators. I'm going to have to make some more generators soon, some standalone biomass generators, but this should be enough to keep this moving for now. The other thing we forgot, and I'm just remembering as I see this rock jutting out over here, is that we've got lime right here, which is necessary to make concrete. So that means that we're going to need a second set of these constructors, smelters, miners. I'm going to go ahead and put those in the queue, and you can see here that we're going to run out of some of those resources. We're going to have to craft some of these reinforced iron plates as well as some additional cable in order to do this. So let me grab a couple of resources, and we'll go get those materials and get these 2 other miner, smelter, constructor combos set up and running. The crafting bench is super easy to use. You can see all these recipes here. These are things we could automate to create. However, you can just come in here, select your recipe, tap the spacebar once, and it's auto crafting. I'm not sitting here clicking on all of these. I'm making up a little bit of these screws because that's what's going to allow me to make these reinforced iron plates that we need. I'm going to actually make up a few of these just so that I've got a couple spares. I know we're going to end up making some additional things here down the line, so 8 should do it for now. And then cable, we're going to take some of this copper wire that we have and make some cable, and now you can see we're running out of copper wire. So I've got to be careful here I don't use up all of our copper wire, because we're going to need to craft some more machines over here, get our copper going. I'm going to do that next. I should have probably set up copper before we got both of our iron nodes going. I always forget how critical copper is at this early stage of the game. There we go, all cleared up. Let's get the miner going. I should be able to eyeball where this goes. We want to point this like back down towards the other machines, so I'm going to give that a little bit of an angle here. And we are missing the wire. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, let's get this running. Do I have enough wire to at least provide power to this? I should. We'll run our power wire all the way back over here. And then we'll sneak it in right here behind the miner. That thing's loud. Oh, This requires wire. Oh, we've made terrible mistakes, folks. Okay, well, in order to resolve this, I do have a little bit of copper ore in my inventory. We can just go and craft up the missing wire that we need here. I hate making things manually. I generally like to plan a little bit better, but as you can see, it's set up so that you can just take those manually mined copper resources and turn them into copper ingots, and then from there I'll be able to make some more wire and get all of this stuff going. With the copper wire in hand, I'm going to go ahead and just finish running our power infrastructure over here, and we are going to have to put in another reactor. So let's just drop this here for now, and I'm going to disconnect this part of our power infrastructure and move that over to another pole. This is going to give me more room to do things, and at some point I know I'm going to need another one of these biomass burners, so I'm going to put that up on the list. We don't need it just yet. If we look at the pole, you can see our power production versus our capacity and the max consumption we've got right now. So we just have to keep an eye on all of that to make sure that we're not consuming more power than we're producing. Let's get the smelter running here. We can again use control to get everything lined up. Once again, I'm leaving some space so I can put another one alongside eventually. And then I'm gonna need a constructor here. Now for the constructor, I don't really like having it up on that hill. I'm gonna try and line us up down here, and we'll see if these belts will handle the terrain like so. We'll get our copper ingot recipe moving here, and then down here is going to be our wire. In order for everything to work, as always, we have to hook that up to the power. Should be good to go. And I'm pretty sure we're gonna start having power issues now. So what I'm going to do is head back. We're gonna make those missing pieces of cable so we can construct another biofuel reactor. All right, let's see here. Now the biofuel reactor is, or biomass burner, I should say, use its proper name. This item will generate more power than the ones on the hub there. This generates 30 megawatts, I think, compared to the 20 that each of the ones on the hub creates. I'm just now realizing though that we're out of wire, so let me come back here. This is why we've got all these machines going, and gather some wire so that we can actually craft this. And I'm gonna sneak this in right back here. There's the power grid running out of power. And we will hook this one up to the other pole. And at this point, we need to grab some more biomass, drop that right into this new biomass burner, and we should be good to go now. I think the reason the power had shut off, we ran out of fuel in one of these. There we go. We'll have to keep an eye on that. But we've now got iron plates being made down here, if I'm not mistaken. We'll grab that because I think they stack into stacks of 200. We've got iron rods being made, and we've got the copper wire being made down there. Our last resource that we really need to keep moving on for the tier 1 stuff is concrete. And concrete is made with the limestone that's up here. So I'm gonna climb up to the top of this platform. Hopefully there's nothing bad up here. I feel like there used to be some of these flying bug things that would attack you up here in the past, but maybe I'm misremembering. There we are. We've got the limestone node unlocked now. We'll go ahead and jump in here, get our miner set up, and we're just gonna point that back towards the base. And unlike the other things, we're gonna set our production for limestone up down below here. So let's start off with figuring out where our power line is gonna run. I'm gonna try and get this down here to make sure that I have enough room to run it all the way back down. I'm gonna put the power line over here by the bridge. That one's full. That one's not. Can I bring this to here? I can. Look at that. And then similarly, we're going to take the conveyor belt and I'm going to run that right up to the edge of this. And then I'll be able to grab onto that from down below and bring that with us to the lower side. So let me find, whoa, that's not it, where we get down here, and we'll get back to the bottom and build out the stuff. Ooh, we've got another hard drive location down here that I forgot about. We'll have to go down there and do some exploring. Not this episode, maybe in an episode or two. I always like to get recipes unlocked pretty quickly though, because there's some really good alternate recipes and it's kind of random which one you get. So down here, what I'm gonna need is a constructor. I don't need a smelter for this actually. I just need a constructor, and I want to make sure that this is gonna be lined up at a similar angle to our other stuff. Perfect. And I'm just gonna put this down right in this area. I think that'll work good. Now, like I said, I can grab this belt from down here and we'll run it to the edge first, and then I'll run a separate connector into the constructor, like so. And I'm gonna get concrete going for this, and it's just gonna construct this concrete straight up from the limestone. But let us not forget that everything requires power, so we'll get that all set up and going. And then here, I think what we're gonna do is actually build a storage container. We're gonna need a lot of concrete over the next several episodes. And so I'm gonna use control. We're gonna give ourselves a little bit of space here, because I think at some point we'll get better belts and I'll be able to optimize this. That's a lot more space than I was expecting. We're gonna use the deconstruct tool, F, and take that back down. We'll try that again. Let me get that locked in. Something more like this should be an appropriate amount of space. I've got enough room here to put a merger in later to bring in multiple different machines worth of materials. With limestone, the interesting part is we're using up 45 per minute, and the belts that we have right now only support 60, so I wouldn't be able to fully support two of these just yet, and eventually I'll be able to upgrade this belt to 120 and bring even more resources down. So we will get that moving at some point here. At this point though, I have our iron plates being made, we have our iron rods being made, and we have concrete being made there. Oh, I forgot we've got our copper wire being made over here. I'm gonna grab all of these resources that we've been building so far while I've been setting up the concrete, and we're gonna take these back over to the base, make sure our biofuel is all refueled properly, and we will see if we're ready to start building anything. So after refueling the biofuel generators, I did go around and just clean up a lot of the miscellaneous bushes and stuff there. We're going to use all that biomass to create fuel, so it's not a wasted effort. And we briefly touched on this, but I realized I've been running around trying to get my resources set up, and I never actually explained what we were gathering those resources for. So you can see here we've got base building. This is going to unlock a bunch of stuff, so we've got foundations and stuff we can actually build a proper factory with, and for that we're going to need that concrete that we're working on, these plates and the rods. Now I can go ahead and select this milestone and drop these resources in here by just shift clicking on them, and you can see I don't have enough concrete to finish this objective. Well, I've finished the other two though, so what I can do is go ahead and come in here and I can just select a new milestone, logistics here in this case, and go ahead and drop all of these resources in here. I don't have enough to finish these out, but we're pretty close on this, and logistics is going to give me these splitters and mergers and the lift that we need to do more advanced things. It's also going to give me some upgraded information about how each building is operating. And then lastly, we have the field research category, which is going to give me some inventory slots, another hand slot, and a few different items, including the MAM, which we're going to be able to start researching things that we find on planet, like that carapace from the, I think they're called hogs. We're going to be able to research that stuff to unlock things. It's also going to give me the map, which is really useful. I can see where we're at in the world because I get lost a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and do that with those parts. I have used up most of my parts now. Screws is the one thing we're not producing yet. So what we might do is take some time, since we're waiting on resources anyway, and we'll go ahead and get another one of these iron nodes moving with some iron, and screws are just made from the iron rods get converted into screws. So rather than take down or start using these iron rods to build more screws, we're going to just use another one of these iron nodes to do it, because that is how you do things in Satisfactory. We still need a lot of these iron rods to do some things. I'm just going to gather some resources up, though, because I just dropped them all off, so I don't have enough resources to go build another set of machines. And this copper one is really far back here right now. I think what I'm going to do is we're going to bring a conveyor belt up to about here. And then I'm going to put a storage container somewhere right back here to make it easier for me to come get these resources. Oops, I did not mean to place that down in that orientation. Let me see if I can get this going on a similar rotation as this other stuff. Is this on the same? Yeah, I like my stuff to line up. Now, I got these in a nice line, so I'm going to go ahead and just run that conveyor belt right into there. Should be good to go. And in order to create another miner here, you can see I dropped all the resources in to create a miner, a smelter, and 2 constructors. We need 2 constructors because we gotta make the iron rods first, and then we're going to make the screws after that. And we're short a few materials, and this portable miner is something that we can only make in a new building. So we're gonna come over here real quick, and I'm gonna toss down, I'm gonna get my flashlight on, it's getting a little dark. We have in the production menu an equipment workshop. So I'm gonna toss one of those down right over here behind our base. And here I can make a portable miner. Eventually we'll be able to make some other stuff in here as well, but for now, this is what we need, and we're gonna need a little bit of cable to do all of this as well, so let's go ahead and craft up a bit of that. We'll get some extra going so I can actually wire things up, and I'm just gonna continue with the same general orientation. I like how when you get it lined up with something else, it highlights those other things that you're aligned with. So now I'm seeing that I'm white boxed with all of these items too. Smelter, I'm gonna space this one out as well because like the other side, we'll be able to split this soon. And then constructor, man, we're gonna run out of room here for all of this doing it this way. Oh, we are not actually lining up very well with some of this stuff. All right, I know it's a spaghetti base, folks. Trust me, I can't stand when stuff is laid out this way. We are going to be building a proper base as soon as we get things unlocked in the next tiers. I've got the belts all connected. Let's get the power run. We're probably going to need a new biofuel reactor for all of this as well. The miner's up and running. This is going to be iron ingots. This is going to be iron rods, and this is going to be screws. Now, before I forget, let's get our power situation improved. I'm going to go ahead and just put this down right over here in the corner next to the other one. If I can squeeze it in here against the wall. And let's see, do I have room on any of these poles? I can connect it to that one. So let me go ahead and gather up the resources we've been making while I've done all of that. That's the one good thing about this, is if you can get your resource generation going for different things early on, then you can just keep building the next components that you're going to need and have plenty of time to let things build up a little bit in the background. So I feel like we've probably got enough to complete at least some of these objectives. Let me look at the logistics side of things. This would be the one that I'd want to complete if I could. We'll go ahead and get that one going.
Milestone reached. Conveyor belts can now merge, split, and lift to increase the complexity and efficiency of your factory. We encourage you to consider more verticality when it comes to factory logistics to streamline short-range transportation. The productivity display will help you measure and improve the productivity of individual buildings to aid with optimization.
All right. Well, I don't know if I'm going to leave in those messages on each of the unlocks, but it's kind of cool. Let's select the next milestone here. Oh, that's right. You can't dump resources into a milestone while the pod is being launched. If I had filled all of these resources up before I launched the pod, I could actually get all of them launched at the same time, but I didn't think about that. It looks like we didn't have the concrete anyway to finish off the factory build, and we're definitely building out these screws still for the field research, so that's all right, not a big deal. We'll keep things going. I'm gonna start dumping out some of the resources that we don't need into this chest. I can control click to move all of a type over here, so I'm going to put all these leaves and different things over there just to keep our inventory kind of cleaned out. We have, oh, actually, we finished with the wood that I have, so rather than going and finding more wood, I'm going to switch the recipe on this over to leaves. And we're going to take a stack of these leaves and toss them into the constructor here and keep the biofuel cooking. We've got plenty right now. I've got 160 something in my inventory. We're not using it that fast. Each of these machines is used, but maybe 15 since the last time I was here. Feeling pretty good about where we're at. I'm going to use the new technology that we have right now, though, to set up a more efficient set of machines back here. And when I say that, what I mean is we can actually get 2 smelters going on each of the miners, because we're only using 30 iron ore per minute right now. This belt is capable of supporting 60. Our miner's capable of putting out 120. So that's pretty good. Let's go in here and go to logistics. We can see our new options. The conveyor splitter, if I hold the mouse over it, I push 5, I can put that there. Technically, I don't think I need both of these on the hotbar now. I believe that I can just switch between them, between the splitter and the merger by pushing E when I have them up. But I kind of like having them separate. I'm old school. So I'm going to put this on this bar here. If I line it up, I can get it onto our conveyor belt. I don't like that it's at kind of that janky angle, but it is what it is. I'm going to put the splitter there, and I'm going to build another set of these on this side just to keep things moving. So let me get a second smelter going. And I'm going to use control to try and line these up. It doesn't look like I'm... Whoa, don't fall off the cliff. I'm having a lot of luck. There we go. And we'll also get another constructor going. Oh, I don't have the stuff for the constructor yet. That's all right. We'll get that in just a second. Let me just belt this in, and we're going to do the complete...
Milestone exchange concluded. Fix-it freighter re-entry complete.
All right, the ship is back, so we can get more stuff going. I'm going to do the janky belts for now. We're, again, just trying to get stuff moving quickly in the early stages here so we can unlock the stuff necessary to have better builds. We are going to need power, though, so let me run this power line over here, and that will at least start building the iron ingots while I go get better materials so that we can craft the stuff necessary to get another constructor going. We'll pick up our materials to send another ship up to space as well. Maybe we can get both of them going up and finish off tier 1 right now. That would be amazing. Come into here, we can get our concrete in, and then we're not going to make the same mistake this time. I'm going to switch to the other milestone, and we'll get these all set up. Oh, we actually don't have enough for this other milestone right now. Well, that's okay then. I can go ahead and send this milestone to space. Perfect.
Milestone reached. You have unlocked several structures aimed to provide the first needed to build basic factory infrastructure and improved overview. Building these will provide a grid for more advanced organizing and sectioning of your factory.
Since we still need so many screws made for our objective, I'm just making some by hand so that I can make a handful of these reinforced iron plates real quick. We need these to build the constructors. This will be one of the first things I get up and running after we get our proper factory stuff finished out in Tier 1 here, so that I don't have to craft these by hand all the time. I hate crafting things by hand in Satisfactory as much as possible. The whole purpose of this game is to automate everything. Alright, so we're gonna drop down another constructor, get that lined up with our smelter here. So that's gonna feed our iron ingots in here. We're gonna do iron rods with this one again. Now I've got 2 machines making iron rods. Let's do the same thing with iron plates back here. Again, using control to snap everything in is our best bet. Oh, but we didn't leave enough room here. So this is something with smelters that I always forget about. Let me place the constructor down first. The constructor is wider than the smelter. And so if you put the constructor down first and then line it up with the constructor, you'll have a much better time. So I've got green lines going both ways. Perfect. Run some belts. Toss in a splitter. And get that run right into there. All right, I need now some more power. We're gonna continue our spaghetti network here. That runs to here, that runs to there. This takes iron ingots, and this makes iron plates. Now, one thing I'm gonna do with all of these is I'm gonna set up some containers here now so that we can collect these more easily between the 2 different materials. And we're gonna go ahead and just put in mergers, trying to make sure it lines up with the crate. I'm gonna have 1 for that one. Oh, this isn't gonna work. I'm gonna have a merger there. And I'm gonna have a merger here. I want it facing this way. Alright, this is gonna be super messy, but this one's gonna come into here. This one's gonna come into there. This one's gonna go there. So I'm gonna merge all of these materials into that storage crate. And then the same thing with this. I'm gonna take and bring it into this crate. Do this, and we'll bring this into the backside of that one. Perfect. So now all of our rods and plates from these 2 setups should be running in here. That'll let them gather up. I'll be able to get to them more easily and not have to interact with individual machines as much, which should be very much a time-saving measure for us. Look for the storage chest, gather our materials. Well, with all of that aside, let's go ahead and launch our final milestone for Tier 1. We've been goofing off with getting everything set up quite a bit here, and now we are finally done with everything in the Tier 1 bucket.
The map has been unlocked.
Yay, map!
Milestone reached. The molecular analysis machine, referred to as the MAM, will allow R&D to provide new technologies, items, and buildings based on samples collected in the field. To ensure a greater chance of success during exploration, an upgraded tool belt has been provided, as well as an object scanner and beacons. Note: the object scanner requires calibration via the MAM to enable detection of specific objects.
I'm not sure I'll actually use it much, but we'll go ahead and craft an object scanner. It's just resources. Drag this out, and I think that it's going to help me look for certain things. But right now I don't have anything that we can search for, which is what I expected. The other thing that we can build now under the special category is the MAM, which I'm going to need 5 of our reinforced iron plates for. So I'll go ahead and craft those. We'll get the MAM put down real quick just so I can show you what that is. All right, I'm going to put this right down over here, kind of out of the way from our general building area. And let's jump in here. The only thing we've unlocked so far is this hog research. We've got one of these that I can drop in. It says I can't afford. Oh, because it's not in my inventory. We left it in this here chest. There we go. And we'll go ahead and get... Oh, that's not the MAM. We'll go ahead and get this researching real quick. Start research. Takes all of 3 seconds. And the analysis of hog research is complete. Please choose a new node in the tree. Alrighty. We have a new building called the Lookout Tower that I'm going to place down here. And if we just hop up here, we can take a look at our budding base. I think we did a great job getting stuff set up in a hurry here. Got through tier 1 relatively unscathed, and I'm looking forward to now starting into tier 2, and not immediately, but very quickly, we're going to be getting a proper factory going here with foundations and walls and doing things in a way that's not a giant spaghetti mess like this base is. If you've enjoyed this episode, hit that like button, helps me out a lot. And join me next time as we work our way through Tier 2 and start getting into more interesting parts of the game. That's all for today. Keterk out.